everyone, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are finishing off the second Coils of Bahamut. Real quick, we're going to read the final turn of this coil. At the depths of 6,329 yalms, your exhausted yet determined fellowship enters the Hulk's operations deck. An impossible scene unfolds before you, and the surreal landscape bathes in a crimson glare and holding the promise of epic conflict. Alright, I'm just double checking if everyone is ready to go, because a few people have less than an hour before they gotta go. Oh, what news dropped? Oh, congratulations! Okay, looks like Everin might still be away reviewing information or doing a just rest between turns. But yeah, it sounds like people have less than an hour before they gotta go, so I want to try and get in to give it a try. We'll see how well we can do. Okay, looks like we're ready to go, just making plans just in case we're not able to clear it today. Let's head on into turn 9. That surely cannot be Dalamud. How? Where are we? The final resting place of Nael von Darnus. This is a grave for the undeserving. And for the crime of trespassing upon my god's sanctuary, this place shall serve as your grave too. No! In the hour of his failure, Nael von Darnus felt the currents of ether begin to bear away his essence. But before oblivion could claim the last of him, a divine will reached out, and I was born. Then did the words of my God resound in mine ears. Bring unto mine enemies crushing defeat, that they might know despair without end, and claim thee thus the victory which thou wert once denied. Twould seem that little remained of Nael's essence when Bahamut plucked him from the brink of oblivion, and the result was a strange simulacrum. Nevertheless, her aura bespeaks great power. She channels the rage of the Elder Primal himself. Lord Bahamut, thy wish is my command. None shall escape thine unquenchable fury. Come, ye dull, unthinking beasts, bare your teeth. They will avail you not in the calamity to come. Alright, so I am actually doing post-commentary for this because this was a very, very long ordeal. We ended up doing 30 minutes now, and then a full 90-minute attempt afterwards, about a week later. So, yeah, this is a very difficult fight, and a few people had to go early, which is why we only did 30 minutes now. So, I did go ahead and cut this down. As you can see, this is not like a 2.5 hour video. This is just 42 minutes, so this is very, very cut down to just 5 specific attempts we did. The very first attempt we did, then the first attempt of the second day, then a couple more attempts corresponding to certain progress points. So, starting off with mechanics. Big mechanics we need to look out for in Phase 1 are Raven's Beak, a big tank buster that will also inflict a 12-second debuff. The debuff doesn't really do anything while it's up, but when that 12 seconds is gone, then when that 12 seconds is over, then whoever got the debuff, the main tank who got the debuff, will explode, doing damage to themselves and everyone around them. I believe it's, yes, to them and everyone around them. So main tank needs to stand away from the party when that goes off. The strategy we ended up going with, though it took a little bit of warm-up, as we were still very much learning the fight. This is our very first attempt. Most of us never saw the fight before. The strategy we ended up going with is Drosera is main tank, and then when Raven's Beak hits, we do a tank swap over to me as the main tank. And then I would be main tank for about half of this entire first phase, before in the back half of the fight it would be just me as main tank unless I die. Anyways, so once Raven's Beak has gone off and that 12-second timer is up, Nael deus Darnus will jump into the air and land on a random player, and wherever she lands, she puts a big AoE marker on the ground, a big orange AoE marker. That AoE marker will go off shortly, so everyone needs to make sure they're out of it, but right after that AoE marker goes off, there will be a big laser that comes down from the sky, hitting another party member, doing massive damage to them and probably killing them. So a lot of things are happening at once. The AoE goes off, the Raven's Beak debuff explodes, and that laser goes off all at about the same time. With the laser, if everyone is stacking together, they spread the damage between them. So our strategy ends up being, when the AoE comes down, everyone gathers towards the inside of the arena, just on the edge of the AoE, so we're not in it. Everyone except the main tank stacks there, and that spreads out the damage between us. Main tank needs to be standing away from the party so they don't blow us up with their explosion, because main tank can handle that. Or I guess in this case it would be Drosera who stands away from us with that explosion. What other mechanics to watch out for? That's like the main things. There's an ability called Lunar Dynamo, which is an unmarked donut AoE. You need to be standing close to the boss to avoid that. There's a few other mechanics, but they're not really that important. What I described is the big thing. Once Nael gets down to 65% health, we move into Phase 2, which we saw there was the Dalamud spawn. To prepare for Phase 2, throughout Phase 1, Nael will drop meteors occasionally on random players. The players will have a marker over their head, and then the meteor will, when that marker disappears, wherever the player is standing at that moment is where the meteor will land. If meteors are too close together, they immediately wipe the party. They need to be at least 8 yalms apart, which is about the diameter of those giant circles on the floor in the middle. For placing these meteors, do you see the fingers kind of like stretching out towards the edge of the arena? We're like right in front of one of them right now. It goes down underneath my hotbar. The edge of those fingers, there's 1, 2, 3, 6 of them around the field. Edge of those fingers are great spots to put the meteors. Also, you can see just to the right of the boss's health bar, just above my buff bar on the bottom right of the screen, there's a little triangle on the ground pointing in towards the middle. That is another great place to drop meteors. So if you get the meteor marker, you go to either the edge of the fingers or to those triangles. And those are going to be your ideal spots to drop meteors to make sure that they are far enough apart that they're not going to cause problems for people. When Nael jumps up into the air and vanishes for the start of Phase 2, when she hits 65% health, 3 players will get marked with meteors. These are golem meteors, and they will hatch into Dalamud spawn. We treat them the same as the other meteors. We want them to be far apart from each other, because if they're too close, they instantly wipe the party. See the 3 giant circles in the middle of the arena? Ideally, in perfect circumstances, this is a chaotic fight, so it's not always going to be perfect. Ideally, you want to drop those meteors in the middle of those 3 circles. That's the strategy we ended up going with, all those meteor placements. That is the best way to spread things out so it's all in consistent locations, and they're not going to be so close that they explode us and kill us. I will note that now that we are in the second day, since we're on the second pull, we did have to swap a few party members out. A couple of our party members had other things going on, either in their, just like other things that they had to deal with. So they were not able to join us for the second day. I wish they could have joined us, but the people we had in as fills did a very, very good job. Honestly, everyone did a fantastic job. I don't have any, like... We did an incredible job, I think, on this, given that a lot of us are not strictly the best at this game. Some of us have done Savage content, others are still new to the game, so the fact that we did as well as we did in this fight, I'm fucking proud of everyone, whether they're in the first group or the second group. Y'all did fantastic. Okay, so this third pull is going to be when we end up actually clearing the second phase. So let's talk a little bit more about the second phase. So the Dalamud spawn, once they hatch, there will be 3 colors. There's red, there's blue, and there's green. The red, the color they have corresponds to what ability they have, and they will occasionally change colors and swap colors with each other. Red has the ability Earth and Heart, which deals high damage to everyone within an AoE range, and it also drops a blue puddle on the ground that gives anyone who's standing in it burns. So don't stand in that, and don't get hit by the AoE. They also have Heavy Strike, which deals heavy damage in an AoE with a very small safe zone. I am reading off of the Console Games Wiki guide. I would recommend using that or like a proper video guide, because I'm not a professional. I'm just trying to... I don't make raid guides. I'm just reading off the strategies that we went with. And reading off the information that might be useful, but like this is not intended to be a raid guide. This is our first playthrough of this raid. So yeah, red Dalamud spawn does big damage with an AoE and also leaves burns behind. Blue Dalamud is the one I would typically tank, and that has magnetism, draws any players or ads or comets to itself, which can be dangerous. And the green Dalamud will have a massive raid-wide damage and a tank buster. We ended up prioritizing the green Dalamud spawn as quickly as we could, just because it is so dangerous. If any meteors are left over after a wave of Dalamud spawn, then it wipes the party. How do we get rid of the meteors? We take a Dalamud spawn and bring it to the meteor. The Dalamud spawn will eat the meteor, become bigger and more dangerous, but the meteor's gone. So if we can get rid of all the meteors by having the Dalamud spawn eat them, we don't have to worry about it. The meteors aren't around to wipe us. If a Dalamud spawn eats, I think, 3 or 4 meteors, then it's an instant wipe for the entire party, because the golem will get way too big and it will just fucking destroy everyone. Similarly, if 2 Dalamud spawn get too close together, they will eat each other and become massive and destroy the entire party. It's not possible to get through if they eat too many meteors or if they eat each other. But if we can get through 2 waves of these Dalamud spawn, then we are able to move on to the third phase. So at this point, I believe we are past the first round of Dalamud spawn. At this point, I think 6 meteors will drop down on random players. Some players are able to get 2 meteors on them at once, so we need to be careful and cautious and alert. Pay attention to who those meteors are coming down on. Pay attention to where meteors have been dropped by other players. Generally, you want to have 3 people tanking the Dalamud spawn. Both of your tanks will be tanking the meteor spawns, and one of your DPS will be tanking the last one. Typically, the blue Dalamud spawn is the least dangerous, so I would hold on to it and just kind of keep it alive until the others were dead, and then we would kill it quickly. In this second round of golems, since there are 6 meteors down, you need to have each golem eat 2 meteors. Any more, and they get too big and they wipe the party. Any less, and meteors survive and they wipe the party. So eat 2 meteors, then destroy the golems, and then we move into phase 3. Phase 3 is going to open with Mega Flare, which does massive damage. I am making a huge mistake here by standing too far away from the party. You want to be standing not in the middle, but close to the middle. And yeah, okay, I was main tank, so I screwed up. Everyone took damage from that. So, shortly after Nael drops down on us for phase 3, the Heavens Fall will appear, and it will, do a massive knockback on everyone. If it lands directly on you, then you just instantly die. It crushes you. So you want to be close to the middle, so the knockback doesn't kill you by throwing you off the arena, but you want to be not in the middle, so it doesn't crush you. Apparently we got really bad RNG with the next attack, which is those big orange AoEs on the ground. Throughout this phase, we also have dragons that we need to deal with, big dragon spawns. They're going to be attacking the party. They need to be dealt with quickly while the main tank is dealing with the boss. There's going to be a mechanic called, what's it called? Binding Chain. One of the dragons, the Ghosts of Mericidia they're called, will tether 2 players together, and that tether will start applying stacks of Garrote to them. If Garrote gets too many stacks, then the tethered players will just instantly die. So we need to kill the ad as quickly as possible so that it can't finish off players with that tether and the Garrote. At the same time, there will also be 3 very small white puddles on the ground. And those white puddles, if you step into them, will clear your Garrote stacks. So kill the ad and then step into the white puddles to clear your stacks if you are tethered. If you're not tethered, don't hop in the stack, or don't hop in the puddles, because that will get rid of the puddles, and then your party doesn't have anything to get rid of their Garrote stacks with. That phase goes until she hits about 47% HP. And that enters the final phase, where a lot of stuff is happening at once. There's a lot of attacks coming. There is a 5-hit tank buster called Bahamut's Claw. There are a couple of big things to watch out for. There will be dragons outside the arena who we can't attack. And those dragons will appear in random positions, and based on their positions, they'll be charging in different directions. They'll basically be doing Twintania's dashes from turn 5. But there's 3 of them. It's terrifying. Drosera tried to set up some macros in order to help us know which ways to go in order to avoid the dashes, based on which spawn pattern it is. There's so much happening that I don't know how effective those macros were. They were certainly a good idea and a good attempt, but I know that they never ended up being useful for me personally, just because, oh my god, there's so much happening. So we've got the boss with massive attacks, including a 5-hit tank buster. We've got dragons constantly dashing at us from outside the arena that we can't kill. And we have a fire and ice and thunder mechanic. You will get stacks of either a fire debuff or a ice debuff, depending on which ones hit you, which attacks hit you. Fireball gives you a fire debuff, Ice Ball gives you an ice debuff. Fireball you can know is going to happen because there's going to be a fire tether from an ad outside the arena to you. All of these attacks are AoE, by the way. All of the Fireball and Ice Ball are AoE, by the way. Ice Ball is going to be going off just regularly every few seconds, alternating with the Fireballs in a certain pattern. And also, occasionally one player will get marked with, what's it called? Thunderstruck? They'll get hit with a Thunder debuff, and that Thunder debuff will, after a short amount of time, blow up on you, cause damage to you and everyone around you if you have the debuff, and also inflict paralysis. So that's terrifying. The strategy that you want to implement, at least according to the guides we were using, is everyone stacks together, except for the main tank. Everyone stacks together behind the boss. And then your movement is going to basically be based on whether on when the fireballs are coming and who gets the Thunderstruck debuff. On the first fireball attack, you want everyone to be stacked together. On every other fireball attack, whoever has the fireball tether on them needs to move away from the group. And then once the fireball tether is gone, they move back into the group. Similarly, anyone who has the Thunderstruck debuff with the Thunder ability needs to move out of the group until that goes off. But otherwise, everyone's going to try and stay stacked together while also dealing with a million other mechanics at the same time. So why do we need to manage the Fireball and Ice Ball so severely? Because if you get hit with a fire attack while you have the fire debuff, you instantly die. If you get hit with the ice attack while you have the ice debuff, you instantly die. By alternating which ones you get hit by doing this really weird dance, you can make sure that you're constantly flipping from a fire debuff to an ice debuff back to a fire debuff so you never get murdered by getting hit with the same element that you're already debuffed to, because the debuffs will swap out with each other. Ice replaces fire, fire replaces ice. It's fucking chaos. Anyways, I'm gonna let you enjoy this fantastic music while we make our last attempt. We did not make it synced, unfortunately. We ran out of time. At this point, we did not have time for another attempt. Nael has an 11-minute enrage. At 11 minutes of a pull, she will just start wiping the party. So you cannot go past 11 minutes in a particular attempt. And just getting, like, we need way more than 4 minutes to do this fight anyways. So, just because this is an infamously hard fight, like, this is Savage tier content, which is rated as normal tier because binding coils are messed up. We elected at this point to do it unsynced just so we can move on with the main story of the binding coils. I don't know if I'm going to come back and finish it synced. As I mentioned in the past, the developers intend to go back and redo the binding coils so they're more in line with modern day. It depends really on when they have the time to do so. They have said they want to, because binding coils have important story locked behind them, but they're also way too difficult, and nobody does them properly anymore, because it's just not worth it. When they do rework binding coils, if and when they rework binding coils, I intend to do that, but I might redo turn 9 myself eventually, synced as is. Anyways, back to present May. Okay, let's go ahead and clear out. Okay, so what is the loot? A weapon? Don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. Definitely don't mind if I do. Give me that. And then I don't care for the ether stones. Alright, let's go. Poor creature. Would that you had never been born. You had surrendered your physical form and collapsed into ether, but Bahamut denied your death and imprisoned what little was left of you in an ethereal shell resembling... what, I wonder? Images from your memory, perhaps? But that shell is now broken, and your primal deity seems disinclined to sustain your existence. My primal deity? I kneel to no icon. What need have I to beg the favor of such filth? I am Nael van Darnus, legatus of the 7th Legion. No, a moment. My thoughts are clouded, and this body is not mine own. Could it be that you spoke the truth? Was I ensorcelled by the Lesser Moon's ancient prisoner? That will not happen again. You speak as if Bahamut no longer controlled you, but that's impossible. Once the primal ensnares a mind, it cannot be freed. Unless Bahamut simply relinquished his claim. What need has he of a broken spirit bound for the ethereal realm? Oh, that I should fall prey to the very influence I sought to purge from the land. The irony is galling. But do not assume that all of my actions were chosen for me. It was my will that the Meteor Project be resurrected. Mine and none other. Yet it seems that my grand designs were destined to fail. Even the ungentle release of death was denied me. Nael, please, you must tell us more of the calamity. I must know the truth of what has befallen the world, and what has become of my grandfather, Archon Louisoix. You are Louisoix's grandchild. Ah, the fates are generous with their cruelty. Continue on if you would have your answers. They await you at the terminus of your path. But know that this path leads only to despair. The light of truth was ever harsh and unforgiving. Why do you say this? Grandfather will be freed once we put a stop to Bahamut's restoration, will he not? What are you not telling us? Steel yourself, child. Only unbending resolve and merciless strength can conquer what lies ahead. The weak can do naught but weep under the pall of their own misery, as did the frail child I once was. Silence, chattering raven. Your wretched wings are broken, and you shall soar no more. My crimson moon, your brilliance sears mine eyes. I recognize that voice, Satora, but never would he say such words. Come, let us finish what we came to do. All will be put right when the final hulk lies dormant. Grandfather will be himself again, I'm sure of it. Bahamut regenerates more swiftly than I had anticipated. Let us hope that disabling this coil will serve to slow the process. The display seems different, but the controls appear to mimic the mechanism we found in the Lenosian Hulk. It shouldn't pose a problem. Satora, forgive me. The moment I beheld Nael's transformation, hope wilted within my heart. I did not believe you could stand against the manifestation of Bahamut's power. For all your fabled strength and skill, I felt certain then that I was going to lose you, just as I lost my grandfather. Even he, a man for whom naught seemed impossible, was humbled before Bahamut's might. And yet, look how far we have come. 'Tis incredible the feats of which we are capable, our boundless potential. 'Twas this capacity for greatness, I believe, that grandfather so dearly wished to protect. With all that has occurred, I have come to understand that much at least. "'Tis done. Shall we make our way back to the surface and gather our thoughts? We have seen much that will benefit from Urianger's learned perspective." Grandfather, it is you! Then why? Abandon this quest, Alisaie. I will not countenance further sabotage of the Coils. Sabotage? But we must disable the Coils if we are to prevent Bahamut's revival. Your defiance seals your fate. No. No, you are not who I thought you were. My grandfather would never! Foolish girl. How could the White Raven allow herself to be bested by such sniveling opponents? Listen well, we all exist at the pleasure of one divine will. And the word of Lord Bahamut is absolute. Scurry back into your holes, vermin. You have been granted this one reprieve. But should you be so foolish as to crawl into my lord's domain again, I will crush the life from you myself. That light in grandfather's eyes, he has suffered the same fate as Nael. My grandsire is no more. That was naught but a phantom that profanes his noble memory. This mockery must be expunged. I will not rest until I free grandfather's soul from Bahamut's tyranny. Do you hear me, Bahamut? Your time is at an end. Eorzea and my family will be avenged. So... Louisoix has been tempered, then. Alright, looks like our exit is right over here. We've shut down the Hulk. Let's get out of here. Okay, Alisaie, so we came out in Northern Thanolin. Let me cut ahead real quick. Okay, I am back. Just needed to discuss a few things for future plans with the rest of the group. Alisaie is keen to seek Urianger's learned opinion on the disturbing events which unfolded during our expedition into the second coil. Truly, it is wonderful to escape that stifling air and return to Northern Thanolin again, it would appear. I must thank you, Satora. Were it not for your bravery, I strongly doubt that I would be standing here now. But you need not tarry on my account. The danger has passed. Pray go on ahead and apprise Urianger of all that has occurred. I will join you anon. My thoughts are yet unruly, and I would rest here a while. Okay, but stay safe. We are in the middle of, well, Northern Thanolin. Alright then, I will meet you all back at the Rising... No, not the Rising Stones, the Waking Sands. Okay, made it back to the Waking Sands. I am so happy with how that went. It would have been really nice to get a clear, but again, that's a very infamous and stressful fight. The fact that we got so close to a clear after only 2 hours of attempts in total? I'm pleased. I'm sorry for how long this ended up being. That's just kind of how raids go, I think, but... The triumphant hero doth return. Thine eyes speak of the dread task's completion. The second coil now lieth dormant. Yet I sense the tidings thou bearest are not altogether glad. Pray tell me, what ill hath cast the shadow which falleth now across thy brow? Well, I'm sure Alisaie will be here soon to fill you in. It's not great. An old foe and an old friend. So 'twas but the ethereal shadow of Master Louisoix that Lady Alisaie beheld, an unnatural conjuration and thrall to the Elder Primal. That the fiend should deign to choose him of all men, even in full knowledge of the shade's true nature, I would be hard-pressed to weather such a confrontation. Yet what agonies must the young mistress have endured? Such torment did she ne'er deserve. Mayhap 'twere better if the Lady Alisaie did absent herself from future forays into the coils. I have come too far to surrender to grief, Urianger. My lady, I am resolved to defeat these fiends, and naught shall sway me from my path. Now let us peer more deeply into the well of our discoveries. As you wish, my lady. By your leave, I would speak first of the coil's late guardian, Nael van Darnus. Van Darnus was the legatus of the Garlean Empire who strove to bring about Eorzea's final destruction, only to fall even as the sixth sun did set. If thou hast heard tales of the White Raven, then it is he of whom they speak. Aye, he, I say, for Nael was certainly no maid. The noble house of Van Darnus, as we discovered all too late, had long safeguarded the wisdom of ancient Dalag. 'Twas thus that the legatus came to learn the true nature of Dalamud and to seek to employ the Red Moon as a weapon against Eorzea. But the Crystal Tower and the mechanisms required to command the satellite yet lay hidden beneath the ground, compelling Nael to construct a far less subtle mechanism. And in his first faltering attempts to communicate with Dalamud, he did likely rouse the satellite's slumbering prisoner. Thenceforth did the White Raven's soul belong to Bahamut. He was fortunate indeed to acquire so powerful a thrall by chance. It is little wonder that he was so loath to part with him. Why let a simple thing like death deprive one of so useful a pawn? Though we may accuse him of bungling Van Darnus' resurrection, I dare say Bahamut was as content to have a handmaiden as a manservant. I only hope that the two thralls we encountered were the extent of his flock. Yet I cannot help but dwell on Nael's words, those beloved children of whom he spoke. I assumed at first that he referred to the moon's beastly guardians, but should Bahamut have enslaved the other mortals, we must needs remove this source of worship. Otherwise, our efforts to disable the coils shall be for naught. Forgive me mine indelicacy, my lady. Thou art wise indeed to speak of expunging the primal's thralls, but canst thou truly pursue a course which would cost thee thine own grandsire? My heart and mind are as one on this matter. Grandfather's salvation can be won but by a single method, the destruction of Bahamut and aught that might serve to sustain him. Satora, while Urianger and I endeavor to ascertain the existence of any further thralls, I suggest you grant yourself a moment's respite. Rest assured that I will contact you the moment I have need of your inimitable talents. Though we have achieved so much, I owe to you. I fear, however, that our trials have barely begun. Though time had dulled the pain of thy passing, I find that I am wounded afresh. Master Louisoix, what good shall come of this unending search for knowledge and truth? Long have I believed the pursuit of such treasures to be the duty of every true Charlayan. Yet when each new revelation serveth only to heap further anguish upon those whom we would fain protect, must we truly reach for more? So you have found your resolve, dear sister. Will you now find a use for the secret, for the key that only you and I hold? Given our familiar propensity for curiosity, you would do well to remember that keys may serve to seal doors, as well as to unlock them, and Bahamut is a most unwelcome guest to whom the door should never have been opened. We can handle the truth, apparently. Alright, my voice is shot. This is an extremely long video. I'm so sorry. I'll see everyone next time. As I believe we're starting to catch up on seasonal events finally, and then a brief break before we head on to patch 2.3, and we'll be back for the Binding Coils of Bahamut's finale in patch 2.4. I'll see everyone next time for that.